The challenge was made by Roman Reigns. He and the Wiseman in the background. So the Wiseman and Roman Reigns appear to be on the same page again. Still got a lot of questions about that one, but they appear to be on the same page again. They're hanging around Roman Reigns' boat. I would imagine they're in Florida. It looked like Florida. And Roman Reigns, this was a great promo because Roman Reigns said, Solo, your bloodline got one and my bloodline got one. So instead of painting War Games to be what I think a lot of us saw it as, which is a definitive win and statement, Roman Reigns' bloodline sitting here going, we're the dominant ones, end of discussion, story over. Roman Reigns is factoring in the match that Solo and Jacob won. Or no, it was a six-man. The match that Solo and Jacob and Tama won against he and the Usos when Solo pinned Roman Reigns. He's going, we're even now. He's saying that the Roman Reigns bloodline came into War Games at a deficit. And maybe that's why the wise man said from the beginning, if we don't win War Games, we're toast, we're finished, we're done. Because we're already at a deficit. So the the OG bloodline winning at War Games puts everything even Steven. And now it's time to talk about the Ula Fala. And Roman Reigns, and it goes back into history. You know I love that everything counts. We're not just making up. The Ula Fala was gifted to us from heaven. A hawk came down from the skies and placed it upon my neck. You weren't there, but trust me, it was amazing. No. There's footage of it. We have actual footage of Roman Reigns being crowned with the Ula Fala by Roman Reigns' uncle and Roman Reigns' father, Solo Sikoa's two great uncles, Afa and Sika, the late, great Wild Samoans, one of the greatest tag teams of the 1980s, putting that Ula Fala around the neck of Roman Reigns and crowning him as the tribal chief. And from that day forward, it was when Roman Reigns, being the one to provide for the family, being the one to lead the family, was not a hypothetical, not a statement that Roman Reigns just said, not an observation that he had made, but it was a matter of fact as bestowed upon him by the elders, Afa and Sika. And Roman Reigns cites that, and he shows the footage of it. He says, you can't just take it. That's not how it works. And while Roman Reigns, he didn't mention it in the promo, but he absolutely did say Solo Sikoa was next in line. There's a big difference from saying you're next in line and then the guy who's next in line saying, okay, my turn. No. I'm still the front of the line. I'm still here. No, not your turn. Your turn is next, but it's still my turn. So Roman Reigns makes the challenge. January 6th. Tribal warfare, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. And while Solo doesn't specifically respond, on Smackdown it's treated as a challenge. Triple H sends out the tweet, January 6th, Netflix Raw, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, tribal warfare. And Roman Reigns says, you leave your bloodline at home, I'll leave my bloodline at home, which I don't know. That statement in and of itself should be banned. How many times are we going to hear, you leave your bloodline at home, I'll leave my bloodline at home? The bloodlines never get left home. Everybody travels with their bloodline. Roman Reigns has historically for years always traveled with his bloodline. Solo Sikoa learned that from the Big Oos and always travels with his bloodline. So I do think we're good, but the bloodline numbers are even now. Jimmy Uso's out with the toe. Tonga Loa's out with the torn bicep. So Roman's got, I guess, Jay and Sammy watching his back, if Sammy is still Uso after that beatdown he got from Drew McIntyre. And Solo's got, Jacob and Tama Tonga, which when you really break it down, over the last couple months, when we see what that bloodline has become, when you put it that way, Solo is going to be flanked by Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. It doesn't feel attainable. It doesn't feel beatable. But I think huge, and lets you know how WWE is looking at Netflix Raw. That WWE is looking at Netflix Raw as the spot where that match would happen. This is a match that people were speculating about for WrestleMania. And it's like, no. WrestleMania, you're going to have Netflix Raw with WrestleMania quality matches on it. You're going to have Saturday night's main event with mega matches on it. You're going to have Royal Rumble mega matches, Elimination Chamber mega matches. I mean, this WrestleMania season is going to be nuts if this is how we're starting on the 6th. So I'm very much looking forward to it. People are already acting like this is going to be the blow-off, and I don't think there's any guarantee that this is going to be the blow-off. I think there's a couple of things we're going to see Netflix Raw. I think Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens have some kind of confrontation. I already said that. We're going to get to something else in a moment. But I think that we don't just see those 4 members of the Bloodline on the outside of the ring. There's no doubt in my mind that John Cena will be at Netflix Raw. I don't know this as a fact. But if he's back for the year 2025, what better place to kick it off than on Netflix? I also love that the WWE is realizing that Netflix is, nobody's scrolling through and they land on Netflix. This is the first time that Raw has exclusively been on a service where it is a destination. You have to know in advance, I am turning on my Netflix app, I am clicking on Raw, and I am watching the show. And I think that's why, especially for the first episode, it's like, everybody in the world needs to know Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa is happening on this show. But with the fact that there's a high probability that John Cena will be there, I don't think he'll be the only legend. I think I gotta believe that The Rock shows up for Tribal Combat. I gotta believe that on January 6th, we find out what side of the Bloodline, if any, The Rock has been supporting. Who's to say The Rock doesn't have his own bloodline? Who's to say The Rock hasn't been formulating his own faction? Who's to say The Rock is going to support either one of them? But I think he probably will. And I think the idea of The Rock is flanked by Solo, Jacob, and Tama Tonga. And Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, like Roman's whole bloodline, is busy with Drew McIntyre, is busy with all these other guys, that now Roman Reigns is going to have to get through this unbeatable force just to eventually get to The Rock. I mean, that's amazing to me. And as much as in my opinion, I was like, you got to go Cody versus The Rock because you got to find out what that gift. The Rock said he's coming back for Cody. But time is a shapeless beast. Who's to say what time even is? Maybe we're not doing Rock and Cody first. Maybe with the way the way we're heading into January and the positions that everybody is in, it's almost like, are you on the Cody story side or are you on the Roman story side? And I feel like The Rock fits in more on this Roman story side. I mean, that said, at the end of last year, Cody and Roman were not telling a story yet. So who's to say? But I do think that this bodes very well. I do not think. Here's where I would do it. Roman Reigns beats Solo Sikoa and has the Ula Fala back, is the tribal chief. But then The Rock shows up. And The Rock stares him down, gets in the ring, not in the aisle, gets in the ring, stares him down. And maybe that's how we go off the show. Although, do you want The Rock versus Roman Reigns to be for the Ula Fala? But is Solo Sikoa going to hand the Ula Fala over to The Rock? Or maybe this is when Roman Reigns is the tribal chief and The Rock reminds him that his blood ancestry goes back to the high chief Peter Maivia. So Roman Reigns is the tribal chief, and maybe The Rock has an even bigger Ula Fala. And The Rock is now the high chief. And now you've got the tribal chief versus the high chief for whatever, I don't know. I don't think Grand Poobah is how they would call it. But whatever the title would be, for the top chief. You know, because when Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are running around with their championships, what does the final boss do? He gets the People's Championship. He's like, well, my belt's even better than yours. And that belt is beautiful. So maybe The Rock maybe Roman Reigns wins the Ula Fala back and is the tribal chief again, but The Rock comes out with something like that's like white and gold. I would say a Ula Fala that's like white and gold. And goes, yeah, except I'm the tribal chief. I'm the high chief. I come from Peter Maivia, okay? And now what we're settling is not about championships anymore. It's about tribal chief versus high chief. And that's how you get to a main event of WrestleMania without Cody Rhodes or Gunther being involved in it at all. Neither title is involved. And now you've got this over here. Maybe it's just something I'm setting up. I have no idea. I have no clue.